with your systems. We had our biggest month in December, which was just shy of 140.
And the goal is 300 this year, right? So before we dive in, could you share what kind of revenue growth that you've experienced since we started working together?
So we were like $80,000, $90,000 a month.
Can you tell us a little bit about your agency? What do you sell? What do you offer? What kind of clients were you working with?
E-commerce growth agency, advertising, creative.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today we are here with Patrick. He is the CEO of the Visionary Group based out of beautiful Dallas, Texas, where I'm based out of. Patrick, thanks for coming on, man. Good to talk to you.
Of course, happy to be here.
Absolutely. Well, so before we dive in, could you share, and I just want to get into maybe the meat of it real quickly here, could you share what kind of revenue growth that you've experienced since we started working together? Maybe specifically what's been the total increase in monthly recurring revenue?
Yeah, so we were like sitting around between $80,000, $90,000 a month before working with you. And then with your systems, we had our biggest month in December, which was just shy of 140. And then now we're doing right around that, a little bit under that, and looking to smash through that next barrier of 140, 150 and get right up to 200.
There we go. And the goal is 300 this year, right?
300 this year. Yep, 100%.
I like it. We'll get you there. So I guess just to make sure that I understand clearly here, what you're saying is, and you started in end of October, basically beginning of November. So you came in, I think we started October 26th, and then by December, so 30, 35, 40 days later, you went from 80K to 140K, your biggest month in a month and a half?
Yep.
Nice. Pretty good growth, I'd say. But hey, maybe I'm biased on that side. So can you tell us a little bit about your agency? What do you sell? What do you offer? What kind of clients were you working with before we started working together?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So e-commerce growth agency, we do, advertising, creative, and email. Our niche for a while has been like the health and fitness space. We have a lot of traction in that space. And now we're kind of branching off to do more broadly e-commerce. Types of clients, like we had some like good clients, but our prices were a lot lower than they are now. Our focus was kind of just like get as many clients in the door, lower price point. And then, the reason why we're able to get so much fast revenue was just, I think the big thing was just elevating our pricing as well, like just our whole pricing model, improving that, the way we go about pitching these deals. And then, I think the big one was, of course, just like almost figuring out those big clients that we currently have and kind of ascending them to bigger packages. And then those new deals, having those new prices, of course, like it's not like we're, I think the issue and the real growth is just that confidence that we're able to be like, okay, this is our price. We're confident charging 7, 8, 9, 10, 15. Like we have clients that are spending 20K plus a month with us, and that's huge. And we didn't even know that was possible, obviously, until you were like, dude, just pitch. There was one deal that in that first month, it was like 35 grand a month, and that's like our biggest client. We're able to get that locked in.
Love that.
Huge. Yeah.
Gotta love that, man. I mean, you guys are great at what you do. And so, coming in, it was very clear that you guys were undercharging just based on the level of expertise and results and case studies and all the stuff that you had. Mm-hmm. And so a couple of small tweaks and then, hey, 35K a month deals and making that the norm as we go forward here. So, okay, can you walk me through what your client acquisition process looked like before you started working together? Like what was your approach to finding and closing clients?
Yeah. So it was really just... no really low paid ads, but mainly the bulk of our clients came through LinkedIn, a lot of like cold outbound. So LinkedIn being the main channel, going outbound that way. Because we got a lot of traction in this kind of niche community in e-commerce, like referrals, but it wasn't really that scalable. And that was the big thing. And reason why I wanted to work with you is figure out like a reliable acquisition system that we can scale up. And so that's what we got going now.
Love it. So how has your approach to landing clients, enterprise clients, how has that changed since implementing our strategies? Like what would you say are some specific systems that have made the biggest difference?
I think just like operating from strength, like really trying to figure out how we can leverage all our case studies, all our wins, optimizing our landing page and making sure that we elevate kind of what we're selling. So structuring like a good offer. And we've tested a few offers with you, but like the core growth engine, that big offer, like that's been solid. And then just trying to figure out like how to actually make that work. Like what's the actual ads strategy to make that work. And so getting all that implemented, building out the landing page, creating all those ads and getting that fire, and then starting to see like consistent call bookings was huge. Cause every time we tried ads, it was like kind of half-assing, like just spending a little bit to make it work. And you're like, bro, just spend, 10K, 12, like spend and figure it out. And I was like,
let it rip.
perfect. That's all I needed to hear to just dive into it. And then obviously like making that cash back through the deals. Like it's not, it seems risky to like start spending 10, 20K a month. And then you see like all the calls and you're just like flooded with opportunities. So you'll make that money right back, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I see with a lot of agency owners. And, I talk to a lot of people who own agencies, and I see a lot of hesitancy around the ad side specifically, especially if it's like something that either they haven't tried or hasn't worked for them in the past. So I guess I'm curious from your perspective, like maybe how did you overcome the whole like, hey, we've tried ads, it hasn't been that great, or what was your thought process around going, hey, cool, let's just let it rip, let's try it and see what happens. And obviously you've had some great results from it. So I'm curious your perspective on that.
Yeah, I mean, I always knew ads were the way to go. Like we're an ads agency. I know ads will work. It's just a matter of like really figuring out what's required to make that work on the B2B side. So just your like we were spending like maybe 3K a month on ads. It was like really shitty lead magnet funnel or whatever, just building our newsletter, and then switching to like the call booking and just getting that cracked down and continue to optimize that has been huge. So yeah, I mean, like it's just buying your time back. Like I'm not worried. Like we're doing a little bit of outbound still because that still works. But like now it's like predictable sales calls coming in with ads and just yeah, I'd say if you can keep treading and trying to spend a little bit on ads, or you can go fully all in and just like make it the objective to figure it out. Like it's because once you do figure it out, it's like obviously the biggest revenue driver. So. Yeah.
Makes sense. Sometimes you just got to rip the Band-Aid off and go balls to the wall is what I'm hearing you say.
Exactly. Yep. Well
Nice.
said.
Sounds good, man. So one of the things that we focused on is transforming your sales process and sales approach for going after larger deals. So in your experience, what have been some of the key changes that you've seen in the sales process that have had the biggest impact on closing larger deals?
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it was maybe like some like beliefs I had from like smaller programs. Like I invested into like 2 or 3 years ago, like trying to get to first 10K a month. But I had a lot of things about like don't do pitch decks are a waste of time. And like all this extra stuff is a waste of time. It's like, it's a waste of time maybe if you're pitching 2K a month deals. But when it comes to enterprise level and like the count 7, 8, 9-figure brands, like you're going to need to stand out. So like the whole deck strategy and the whole like, also like trying to move to a one call close as well. So we have the deck strategy that was huge. So me building out those custom decks, like definitely a lot better received, and like the value perception, I think, from the prospect, just like, oh, this guy took his time. And when I drop a very high price, like, yeah, that's legit. This guy like did research. So that whole process where we offer an audit, we have a deck, we go for the one call close if it is appropriate. If not, we know the process to be like, take it on to another call. All the, dealing with no shows and making sure people actually show up, like all those systems increased the show up rate and all that good stuff. So, I think it's been massive. We didn't really have a lot of those things in place, and it was just more so like no deck, kind of just talking through what we do and just hoping they'd close. And now it's a much higher level.
So what I'm hearing you say is that just winging it and hoping that it goes well is not the best strategy.
Probably not the best strategy, especially if you're trying to get the bigger fish out there. Yeah.
No, that's good, man. Yeah, I mean, I hear a lot of people say like, oh, you don't need a pitch deck, it's not worth it, whatever else. Like that is not a whole lot of work in order to make a massive impact. And what I found, and maybe this is true for you as well, is that perception is reality. And if they see something that looks really nice, the way that they view you is premium, right? Which is obviously what you need in order to close bigger deals. Has that been your experience as well?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, like people, and it's a good asset too. Like if, I just came off the sales call, like a big brand levels of leadership where it's like, I'm talking to their, mid-level managers, e-commerce manager, marketing manager. And they're like, all right, we need to discuss this with our CMO or head of marketing, whatever. It's like, great. Like, here's the deck. You literally, it's nice and professional. So that if there's levels of leadership, they can take a quick glance at it. Oh, these guys are legit. They're prepped for that next follow-up call, answer any question, then I'm prepared to close them on that one. So just the easeability of just sharing that and not like, if there's other decision makers, like you can easily just like communicate what you can do for a company, over an email, which is good. Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. And I would imagine your experience has been that, you're going to get multiple decision makers inside of these enterprise companies. And so this idea of going, hey, just get on one call, try to close them immediately, objection handle, and basically until they sign the contract. What in my experience, probably not yours as you go after these larger companies. So if I'm understanding you correctly, then the ability to have those sales assets has been really helpful when you're dealing with larger companies where you never talk to the CMO, you never talk to the CEO. Is that accurate?
Exactly. Yeah. And then once you do get that conversation, you don't need to pitch them all again, or like, or the worst thing is like what I've seen before is you'll talk to mid-level management and then they'll be like, "Oh yeah, we'll talk with the team." And then they do an awful job of selling you. So, it's better to send the structure there so that they can be like, "Oh, look at all the stuff they can do and all this and that." And then that follow-up meeting, or sometimes they just get an email and say, "Hey, we're ready to move forward." And it's like, boom, like there we go.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice. Makes sense. So one of the things that I hear from a lot of other agency owners is that they worry about the time and resources needed to pursue enterprise clients.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what I want to understand from your perspective, thinking back to before we were working together, how much time you were investing into your sales process, acquisition strategy, whatever else, versus now, would you say that you're investing less time, more time, the same amount of time? Like when you're going after bigger clients, are you having to work way more in the sales process?
Yeah, I think it's just like obviously introducing like leverage into it. So obviously I'm working the same hours, but I'm able to get more out of those hours. So, and honestly, like bigger clients, it's a weird thing. It's like actually way easier to sell bigger clients than little clients, obviously, even with like the
Why do
ad
you say
traffic,
that?
like, well, I mean, like most small brands, like, budget's just like the number one issue, and then it's just like pulling teeth to convince them that ads will work for them, or like that they need to do these things. And usually the most inefficient and like the most ROI heavy clients are like these huge corporations, these huge businesses that just are like their email channel is all knotted up, or their ads are like all over the place just because it doesn't get the love that it deserves. So then like when we onboarded like an 8-figure brand last month, like the first month it's like, oh, we did all our quick wins, and like the revenue results are insane. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
this retainer is a no brainer, versus if you're trying to put your 5K, 10K retainer to a brand that's doing 10 to 20K a month. That's their whole, like they're paying your whole revenue just to make it work. And it's a lot harder to scale that up. So,
Sure.
kind of going back to your question about, how much time it takes. So yeah, I mean, obviously with like less on the manual, the cold prospecting and all that, ads, introducing leverage, constant inbound of calls. And then like, I'd say the follow-up system is giving those in place. Like I said, increasing the show rate and the actual chance they'll show up and everything. That's been awesome. So, yeah, I think it's shifting my focus and shifting that to belief that premium clients, they don't take more time to win. It's just having those assets in place and the strategy in place, and not spinning your wheels trying to attract like little fish clients just because you think that is what you need.
Yeah, it makes sense. Trying to convince somebody to give you even 3K a month, if they're making 10K a month, that's like 30% of my revenue. And even if they're willing to take the risk on it, if it's not immediately perfect the first month, which we're all in marketing here, we know nothing is perfect immediately. Things take time. The likelihood that they go, even if I have a contract, whatever, I'm out of there, creates that churn and burn cycle, which is obviously no fun, which I imagine maybe you've experienced some of previously.
We don't churn, but some do. Yeah.
Me neither. Never turned a client in my life.
No, yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think
everybody's happy all the time.
Exactly. No, yeah. Obviously, like I said before, bigger clients, bigger opportunities for growth, bigger ROI opportunities. Like it's very clear. Implement your system, and if they're doing $1 million a month, if you get their email from 20 to 22, it's like insane amount of growth. 22, 23, like it's insane. So, yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Love it. So I know you mentioned it earlier about being able to upsell one of those clients to the 35K a month, which is super cool. I remember working through that process, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
How has your ability to not only sign new larger clients, but also retain them, deal with issues, upsell them? Like how has that improved through this process?
Yeah. So like it's a big thing. Like it's when that changes to an enterprise client level, increase your prices, what that has enabled us to do is obviously get like the best quality talent to address everything. So like before working with you, myself, my 2 co-founders were like doing a lot of the work. We had 2 killer employees, but now like with the new cash, with those new prices, we're like, oh, we can charge 8, 10, 12K a month or whatever. And then we can have like an 8-team team to make sure that like service delivery is completely dialed in, and myself and my co-founders can be like on different islands managing different things, which can just scale everything a lot faster. So with that, like results improve. Like I said, like if you're signing bigger clients, there's bigger opportunities for growth. If you're signing bigger clients, you have more margin to get more team members to do the fulfillment and high quality fulfillment, not rely on low quality contractors or whatever. You can get like serious employees in there, and so that's what's been great is we've been able to grow our headcount in a nice profitable manner with like high quality talent while taking stress off of our plate and
Yeah.
making the experience better for the client.
Yeah, which makes sense because at the end of the day, I know what you guys were hoping to do was grow a real organization, right? A real company, a real business, and have the real talents to be able to do that. Where it's not you and unnamed co-founders who I won't throw in there, even though I know their names. We didn't get approval on that, so I won't do it too far yet. Not you guys having to jump in and do everything all the time for all of the clients, so that way you can work on the real needle driving activities. You and two unnamed partners can do the things that push the business forward, as opposed to day-to-day client work.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. Nice. Cool. So investment. Let's talk about the investment of the program. So I want your transparent feedback on, was it worth the money? How quickly did you start seeing a return? And what's been the overall ROI so far? Whether that's money, whether that's confidence, whether that's just overall how you feel about the program. Shoot me straight.
Yeah. So, I mean, we were able to obviously see an ROI like immediately in that first month, because we had a lot of amount of deals that we were working on, and then it was like getting Alex in the mix to be like, all right, pitch this price, do this, and then immediately like that big client, it was like we probably would have pitched them 20K, but we pitched them 35K, and then after negotiations we fell like just shy of 30, so like massive win there. So like with the existing business, with the existing lead flow, Alex obviously helped with that. So the ROI was like, we already made that back immediately. And then long-term with all the ad strategies and everything, like now scaling, it's like once you build these systems, it's like, it's going to pay off like even more so over time. Just like ads would. So extremely, extremely positive. It's a no-brainer in my book to obviously invest.
Okay. Cool. Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad it's been helpful, man. Genuinely. Whenever I started this, I went through the ringer of trying to figure shit out. And so the ability to come in and help, people say, oh my God, I love it. It's so fulfilling, whatever. This isn't a charity, obviously, but to be able to see you guys grow so quickly, as you were the first person that signed up for the full program, it makes my heart warm. So I'm glad to hear that. So let's talk about a challenge then. So as you transitioned into enterprise clients, maybe you faced some challenges. What was the biggest challenge that you faced, and how did you overcome it?
Biggest challenge. I mean, there's naturally, there's like technical challenges, like even the challenges that we were discussing this week with like, okay, cost per call rising a little bit. What is that issue? And obviously having your support to be like, just, it's this problem, like this is the problem here, figure it out. With scaling, it just unlocks like new hardships, but they're better problems to have than obviously being broke or whatever. But it's like, obviously, like I said, once you start to scale, on the ops side, making sure that we can fulfill all that work, making sure we have that headcount, which is why we've had to grow our team and everything to keep scaling. And so like what we've been able to do is like, with your help, obviously get the sales pipeline flowing. So there's that confidence in the fact that like we can make these hires, we can make these moves, and we'll be fine because we have we're building up cash and we have clients locked in for months and months, and like we can do this. And now it's like we feel like now after these hires, we have a team that can get to the bandwidth of like 200K a month. So now it's just like keep selling to get to 200K a month and probably hire another 3 to 5 employees around that time period. So I think it's just like the difficulty is just like handling that growth and being able to make sure that you do it effectively, so you don't the quality of your service only improves and not decreases as you continue to scale. Because that was our big issue, is like as myself, my partners get more, I guess, like not doing everything, like making sure that our clients are 100% happy with what we're doing, just make sure we can actually scale and not have that limiting belief that like we have to be on all the calls and we have to be doing everything, and being able to do that effectively. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Makes sense. Yeah. As you grow, so will the operation and constraints of the business. And so just being able to make sure that you have the right proper team in place to quality control process, whatever, to make sure it works, is obviously something that is very important. So I appreciate your transparency on just some of the challenges of this, because it's not all sunshine and roses, right? Yeah. There's obviously, and everybody that would be listening to this or watching would know that anybody who tells you everything is all good all the time is, well, likely full of shit, right? Mm-hmm. So at least we can be honest there. Okay, so as we wrap up here, what I want to know from you is, based on results that you've seen so far, system we put in place, next 6 to 12 months, where do you see yourself going?
Yeah, Yeah. So I mean, my short-term goal is like by the summer, so we're in March. By June, we do 200K cash collected. By like June, July would be the goal. So really, I want to just collect 300 in a single month in 2025. Could be sooner, could be by the end of the year, but I think that's like the real North Star that we're trying to achieve. And so with that, obviously, and two, like shifting like with the bandwidth problem, like really getting to the point where it's like the bottom 20% of clients, and maybe they've been working with us for a while, or maybe they're like, we have some clients that are paying us $1,000, $2,000 a month, where it's like, okay, we can't like continue to service those clients. So like really just shifting all our focus to like the main clients, full price, like everything, so that we're not dealing with like small clients that might not have the budget. And obviously like with that, it just like we can keep them around just to get 1,000 a month, but really we need to open up that bandwidth to keep these clients on. So scale operations, scale a team, 200 short term, 300 by end of year is really the vision.
Nice. I like it. I like the ambition. You'll get there. Won't take too long. So what advice would you give to other agency owners who are currently stuck in that small client trap that maybe you found yourself in, who want to make the leap to enterprise clients?
Yeah, I think let's see. I think obviously like to get enterprise clients, having a track record is very important. Now,
Yes.
obviously with your small clients, you might have case studies, you might be getting results you can leverage to get bigger clients. But it's really just operating from strength and operating like you've been there before is a big thing. Like with that big pitch that we did, like that was an in-person pitch, showing up, being able to drop the price, no problem, and do that. So, if you do have results, obviously get good results, leverage those in the sales process, have the confidence to do that. Like it's just a mindset thing to pitch these bigger companies and pitch multiple 10,000 a month contracts or whatever. And then, just make sure obviously you can fulfill that, and make sure you have a good team behind you once you start doing these deals. Cause once you crush it for one enterprise client, you get all the enterprise clients. Like you just one by one by one by one.
Flywheel is what I think we might refer to that as. Okay, cool. Last question. So there are some people who might be watching this who have seen some stuff. They love the idea of Enterprise Client Academy. They want to join, but they're on the fence. So shoot me straight one last time. What would you tell them about whether this is worth it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, do you truly want to scale to where you want to go? Because like you obviously Alex has been in the shoes and actually built a successful agency, and so it's good to have that perspective to just unlock those bad beliefs that you might have about scaling and signing those big clients. So, like I said, I personally think the investment's a no-brainer. We recouped it almost immediately, and then long term, like I said, it's like, you're going to be, if you get these systems all up and running, they'll have long-term like effects and impacts. Like you get the processes and you get those implemented, then those are there forever. And so, yeah, I mean, like if it's a no-brainer, like I said.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it, Patrick. Thanks for the time. It's good to be able to chat through this kind of stuff. And I'm sure that we'll have a call to discuss more stuff here very soon. So thanks again.
For sure.